Well, hello there. Hi and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, my name is Orlagh. Autumn, my favourite of all the seasons, mainly because I can snuggle down in a blanket den and nobody accuses me of being lazy, because the weather sucks. Saying that, the sun has just come out from behind the clouds. But I thought today I would share with you 3 of my favourite cosy, comforting vegan recipes. So I'm going to do one for breakfast, lunch and dinner. For breakfast we have cinnamon and apple French toast, which is really vanilla-y and cinnamony and it's my favourite. For lunch we've got loaded fries, topped with all of my favourite toppings. And then for dinner I'm going to make a lasagna, which is really good. It's got like a really rich and meaty sauce in it, with lots of cheese obviously, and that's going to be really good. I'm not going to do these all on the same day, so this isn't like a what I eat in a day or anything. It's just going to be 3 example meals of what I like to eat this time of year. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favourite, and let's just get on to the recipes. Okay, so for the French toast, this is more like a pancake French toast because we'll be dipping the bread in this pancake mix. The full written recipes for everything will be in the down box below, so check that out for the full written measurements. But we're going to mix the flour, a pinch of salt, milk and cinnamon and some vanilla extract into a bowl. And then take your sliced bread, you can use any type that you like, and then you're going to melt some butter in a pan on medium-high heat. Okay, so when that's melted, you want to take your slices of bread and dip them into the mixture. You want them to be saturated enough that they are quite wet, but you don't want it to be so soggy that it doesn't cook through properly. And the reason this is more like pancake French toast compared to just traditional French toast is the flour in the mixture almost creates a batter. So on the outside of the toast, you get the kind of crunch that you would get on a pancake. And that's why I love it so much, because if you have seen any of my other videos, you'll know how much of a pancake fiend I am. And to make this like a cinnamon roll French toast, I've got this date paste that's left over from when I made salted caramel cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to add that to the top. Again, the recipe for that will be in the down box below. And you want to fry them until they turn golden brown. It takes about 4 minutes more or less, but it'll depend on how high your pan is, and then flip them over until they're golden brown on the other side too. And then to plate them up, you can serve as many as you like. I normally have 3 pieces depending on how big the slices of bread are, and then we're going to top with some cinnamon apples that I made previously. Again, I featured this in quite a few videos now. Apples are in season at this time of the year and they're just delicious anyway. And then I'm going to add, with a little bit of difficulty, this cinnamon roll paste. And it tastes exactly like the inside of a cinnamon roll, but because it's made with dates, you don't really get that horrible sugar high in the same way as if it was just pure brown sugar. So when your toppings are all on top, I like to add some seeds. Here are some flax seeds, and then I think I add some other seeds, miscellaneous seeds, just to get a bit more nutrition involved into this very brown breakfast. Top with a bit of icing sugar, which is optional, and then maple syrup. So now get all cozy, grab your blanket, make yourself a cup of tea or coffee and sit down on the sofa or wherever you like to eat your food and tuck in. I love this because it's crunchy on the outside, quite soft in the middle. It's spicy because of the cinnamon, and you've got the apples and then the date puree, which makes it taste like a big fat cinnamon roll. And honestly, it's one of the most comforting, delicious breakfasts ever, and it definitely makes your day when you start it off right. You know, with a big plate of brown, sugary, delicious goodness. Put on the Gilmore Girls and you're good to go. Okay, so for our loaded spicy fries, you want to start off by slicing some potatoes. You can do as many potatoes as you like. I normally do about 2 small potatoes for 2 people, more or less. It depends if this is a side or a main. But as you can see here, I'm cutting the potatoes really thin. So you want to slice them in this kind of way just to ensure they crispen up a lot in the oven. So I'm just going to go across and slice them all in this way, and you can see they're just like the typical fry shape. And then you want to be preheating your oven to the highest temperature it will go. That kind of shocks the chips and gets them to crispen really quickly. You can choose what seasonings you put on. I like to make sure they're quite spicy, so we've got paprika, chili powder, garlic powder, mixed herbs, salt and pepper, and then put them in the oven for about 20 minutes or until they turn golden brown. And to prepare the toppings, I'm just frying some mushrooms. That sound means that they're cooking and they're going to turn really, really crisp. Kind of sounds like they're farting, but we're going to roll with it. I'm cutting up some spring onion, and then I'm chopping up some avocado to go on top too. Just adding some salt on the top of the avocado to season it, and then the rest of the toppings, we have some chopped tomato, some chopped red pepper, we've got our spring onions from before, some olives and some jalapenos, and also the caramelized mushrooms. You know, you can customize this. Sometimes I put refried beans on top. Anything you have that's left over in the fridge works really well, and of course some vegan cheese. So when the chips are done, they should look like this. You want to make sure they're really, really crunchy and crispy. You could make this with fatter chips, but I quite like the skinny ones. And that crispy sound, you know they're going to be good. So I'm going to top with some cheese, some of the caramelized mushrooms, some chopped red pepper, some chopped tomato, some of the jalapenos. Again, this is optional. If you don't like spicy food, feel free to leave these out. Some chopped up spring onion. Again, you could use purple onion. I sound like Tabitha Brown. Red onion, white onion, whatever you like on top. Some olives, and then we're going to top it with avocado. And a bit of basil on top because, you know, presentation is key. And then you can top with any sauces you like. I'm a big fan of barbecue sauce and hot sauce, so I'm just going to drizzle a bit on now for the aesthetics and go back in later and put a lot more on. And that's it, easy. So these are delicious on their own. If you put on a film and you can sit and watch whatever you like with this big plate of fries, or you can have a slightly smaller portion and serve with a burger if you fancy that instead. But they're crunchy, they're spicy, saucy, they've got the cheese, they're great. They're one of my favourites for sure. So you want to start off by frying an onion, some garlic, a fresh chilli, which is optional, and some red peppers in a frying pan or a saucepan like this on medium heat, and then add your mushrooms. I'm going to use like a meat substitute burger in this. This one's really similar to the Beyond Meat. I'm only going to use one, and I'm going to crumble it in to kind of mimic ground beef or minced beef. This is optional. I mean, if you don't want to use these type of fake meats, you could put some tofu in there or some seitan, or you could use lentils, you could use beans, or just add extra vegetables instead. Make sure to season with salt and pepper. And then I'm using a little bit of white wine vinegar just to deglaze the pan. You could use red wine. I normally would use that, but we didn't have any. And then you're going to add a big can of chopped tomatoes and some tomato puree. And just for some extra greens, I added broccoli. You don't really need this, you could serve it on the side, but I love broccoli, so I like to put it in where I can. And then I'm adding these for extra flavour. So the sun-dried tomato and the Marmite give this lasagna like a really rich, meaty taste, and it makes it taste quite savoury. If you don't have Marmite, you could use a vegetable stock cube, or I know Vegemite is also a big thing too. If you're not a Marmite fan, don't worry, you can't really taste it, it just gives it that rich flavour. Now I'm just going to pick some basil from my basil plant, who's looking a little bit worse for wear, and sprinkling that in after I've chopped it up. And then you want to leave this to simmer for as long as possible, to be honest. The flavours do get better over time. Give it a taste test for seasoning. If you have a boyfriend who doesn't like broccoli, he might come in with scissors and start chopping it up. But now we're going to move on to our bechamel sauce. So we're going to melt a tablespoon of butter in a pan and then add a tablespoon of flour, and this basically makes a roux, which is the base of a bechamel or a white sauce. So we're going to stir this around until the flour cooks out, and then slowly start to add our milk. Again, all recipe specifications will be in the down box, but you want to keep stirring the milk in bit by bit just to make sure it doesn't split and curdle. And when it's done, it should look like this. You want to season it with a bit of salt and pepper. A bit of nutmeg is also nice at this stage too. Sometimes some people add mustard. I had mustard, but I didn't really feel like it needed it. And you can leave it like this, or you can add cheese. I added this She's cheese, which is my favourite vegan cheese substitution, that's the one. So you want to stir it through until it melts. You can also add nutritional yeast here if you want to double up on the flavour. And then we're going to start assembling. So you want to make sure your pasta sheets don't contain egg. Some of them do, some of them don't, so just make sure to read the instructions. And now we're going to start assembling. So you take a ladle full of the bechamel sauce, spread it along the bottom of your pan or baking dish. After adding a layer of the sheets, a layer of the sauce, and then just keep repeating until you've assembled your lasagna. And if you want to make sure that your lasagna cuts really nicely, you need to alternate the direction the lasagna sheets are going in. So on the bottom layer, I did them vertically, and then on the next layer horizontally, and then keep rotating. And then when you cut a slice, you get a decent kind of structure to it, and it doesn't just all fall apart on the plate. Top with cheese, and then make sure to pour yourself a nice drink, and then put it in the oven. And when it comes out, you know it's ready when a knife cuts through without any problem and it's bubbling on the sides. And then you can portion this up. This works really well frozen as well if you want to freeze it after cooking and reheat it at a later date. And I find the recipe I've done serves 4 portions. So we will have a portion each for one meal and then save the rest for another time. And this is how it looks. And this is one of my favourite types of comfort food. It's really quite meaty tasting because of the burger we put in there. It's really cheesy. It has all of the different flavours from the vegetables and the tomato. And I like to serve it with just a plain green salad and some balsamic drizzle on top. And yeah, it's such a perfect comforting meal, and I hope you give it a go. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm probably going to get really hungry editing this all back. Good job, I've got some lasagna leftovers in the fridge. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd love to have you over on my channel, and I hope to see you again around these parts soon. Thanks, bye.